People have always said to me that 6, 7, and 8-speed freewheels are all the same thickness. Clearly you can see the 7 on the left here is taller than the one on the right. I don't know why people say that, but clearly again you can see the 8 is taller than the 7. People must know something I don't. Maybe some makers make them all the same. I don't know. But in my experience, the more gears that are on there, the wider it gets. Also, the backs are different, and this can affect how well it fits to the wheel. Here I've hand spun on a 8-speed, which I intend to use, and there is a problem. And if you do have this problem, you're going to need a GM freewheel removal tool to get the freewheel off again. A regular freewheel removal tool will not fix over the axle. Some people use a regular one, they drill it out so it'll fit over the axle, but it's a very difficult process and you would need a machine shop to do it properly. If you're going to use a GM 6-speed freewheel, you will not have this issue. Where you run into this problem is when you use a 7 or an 8-speed from someone else and it screws it on and it rubs and it's binding. You will need a GM freewheel removal tool to continue. Otherwise, you will not get it off. I'm trying to put on an 8-speed freewheel here, and normally I spin them on hand tight and then I try to loosen it. You can hear that grinding. That means I'm going to need a washer in behind this freewheel, which is going to push it out further. The 7-speed I had on it did not need a washer. So I'm going to have to take this one off, put a washer in, see if it'll still work. It's also taller than the 7-speed, but we'll see what happens. Okay, I went and got a GM washer. I'm going to put that on before the freewheel. I guess it's actually called a spacer. And see if that helps it from rubbing. Spin it on. Okay, hand tight. Turn it backwards. Okay, that'll work fine on there. Try it a little tighter. Still good. But now with the spacer and the fact that it's wider than an 8-speed, we could have an issue here. I'm going to give it a shot. Okay, now with the 7-speed freewheel and one washer, I was able to make it fit. But I can see by how many washers this is going to take, it's going to be coming out quite a ways. That washer went way inside. You have to make sure the washer's not going to bind on anything inside there as well. Let's put another one on. Okay, so we got to come out past the freewheel. See, we're just starting. That's very close. Which would make the teeth on the freewheel itself probably too close to the frame for the chain to go around. Even though it looks like the frame won't rub anymore here, it's going to take at least one more. So 2 additional washers for an 8-speed. And see how well that fits in there. I'm probably going to have to stretch it out a bit. We'll see. Another thing I should show you is if you don't have extra GM washers, you can always use these as extras. You can pick them up at a local hardware store. But the problem with these is they're larger, and if you use them as the first or second washer, they're going to rub on the freewheel. So some people buy these and then grind them down to the size of a GM washer. You're only really using it as a spacer. It's not anything strength, like a nut or anything. So you could grind this down to the size of a GM washer if you had to. Okay, I've got it basically positioned there. I don't know how well you can see this, but it looks like it's catching on half the washer on this side. Oops. And half the washer on that side. So I'm going to have to open the frame the thickness of a washer to make it drop in. I'm just going to put a screwdriver in there. See if I can get it to drop in. Okay, the washer is just basically sitting in there properly now. You can see that I did pull the frame out maybe 1/8 of an inch to get the washers to start to drop in. Now I'm just going to tap it in with a mallet. Make sure we're all the way down. This side's going to be a little more difficult because the derailleur's in the way. Okay, I've got it dropped in place. There really wasn't a lot of effort to open the frame a little bit. I assume it's going to be okay, but you know, this is a judgment you'll have to make on your own. Consider me the test pilot. You're responsible for what you do, of course. But on this side now, with it being open, the nut, when I put it on, there's a couple of threads here. doesn't go all the way in, so I may have to go without a washer on this side. I have to decide if it's better to go without a washer so the nut tightens all the way on, or to go with the washer. I think I'm going to take it off. Bye-bye washer. Okay, I removed the washer. Ideally I would have liked to have had the washer in there, but I like the fact that it went on all the way and you don't see any threads. I think we're better off this way. Also, I should mention that when you're putting on a rear wheel, you probably have to put it on without any nuts or washers on there at all, except for the one that's going to go inside the frame, just to get it past the derailleur itself. Most of the time you have to do that. The other side you can leave them on, but quite loose, but this one you usually have to take the nut and the first washer off to get the wheel on. But anyway, and tighten that down good, it should be fine. Okay, so now the 8-speed is in. Looks like there's enough clearance in there. I'm just going to spin the chain to see if it's going to clear. I got to get it down to that gear, do an adjustment or two to get it down there probably. Okay, I made an adjustment, so now it'll ride down on the bottom gear. Looks like it's not rubbing on anything. It's kind of awkward to do this, but I'll video it. So it looks like there's enough clearance. Everything should be fine. And backward spin. So, we're in first gear. Second. Third. Fourth. 8 gears.